Welcome back to Slightly Burnt Toast. I'm your host, Samantha.
And Albert, her husband.
Thank you for that clarity. I guess that makes sense in case anyone hasn't tuned in. But now you can watch it because we're filming.
This is my full-time job now.
Oh, I wish this was your full-time job. That would mean that we made it, basically.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like even if I made it, I would still have other jobs. But, that was more of a joke.
Oh, okay. So funny.
Because you're a handful.
What do you do this? You're a handful. Albert, okay, so if you're not watching the video, he just lifted both his hands like he was grabbing something round.
No, I'm just saying handful.
Oh.
What are you?
Because you did this. You're a handful.
Yeah, you're a handful. There's just a lot.
Boobs?
Sure. Yeah. I was thinking more the other aspects of life, but,
Okay, cool.
I'm just joking. You're fine.
Oh, okay. Thank you. Anyway, if you're a new listener, we're so happy that you're here. We're a husband and wife, but this is not a relationship podcast. We just basically kind of sit here and just talk about random stuff. I want to say there's not really any information. It's purely entertainment. So this is definitely a podcast that you would tune into, say if you were, cleaning the toilet or cooking. Yeah? Is that fair to say, you think?
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't brand us as a toilet cleaning podcast. Sure, but
well, when you think about it, cleaning the toilet isn't the most exciting thing that you can possibly do.
But it's a necessary thing that you need to do.
It is a necessary thing that you need to do. Not fun, but you do need to do it. So why not do it while tuning in to Slightly Burnt Toast? Because we're so entertaining.
Yeah, I just thought about if you're a teenager and let's say that you were never told to go and scrub the toilet, and then you move out and you're realizing, oh, now this is a thing I have to do.
Wouldn't that be such a shock to the system? You're like, what is this?
I don't know. Okay, so I was just thinking more man, you should go and thank your parents because they've just done that for you your whole lives and you just never had to do it. They've just been cleaning your toilet.
Yeah.
Terrible.
Actually,
if we ever had kids, the kids are scrubbing their own toilets as soon as they're a certain age.
Yes. We'll teach them how to do the chores. But when I think back at my childhood, I guess for the most part, I never really cleaned the toilet until I was much older.
I never did either, actually,
until
I moved out.
Yeah.
In my head, I was just this shit is just perma clean. I thought it was the porcelain or something.
Why is the bowl so clean all the time?
Yeah. But then, after I moved out, I was like, oh, my God, the showers need to be scrubbed on a regular basis. The stovetop needs to be cleaned.
Yeah.
All I ever did was, dishes and yard work.
Yeah.
And, maybe some vacuuming.
Wow, we were so sheltered.
Yeah, super sheltered.
Oh, God. Do you remember that one time? Oh, my God. Okay, this is going to expose me. But I kind of freak out every time the toilet clogs. I remember there was one time when I was still living at home. I feel like I told you this story. But I went, TLDR. Well, not TLDR, TMI. I'm so sorry. But I went number 2 in the toilet, quite late at night. And then it just wouldn't flush and started the water kept going up, and then I freaked out. And so I ran up and asked my dad, oh, help me. And then the look on his face was just hilarious. He was just
That's yeah.
So that was my first experience clogging the toilet. But then when I moved in with Albert over here, you tell this story because I feel like it's funnier from your perspective.
I mean, I don't know if it was funny. It was just kind of I remember you just walking in and be like, babe. And I was like, yes. And you're just
I was so embarrassed.
The toilet's not flushing. And my first thought is just there's no way that this girl shits that much. So my immediate thought was how much toilet paper did you end up using? And we were just sort of contemplating how to get it to work. Thankfully, there wasn't any floaties. It was just more or less that stuff went down. It was just the toilet paper clogged it. Yeah. I don't know. You apparently used enough toilet paper to destroy the whole system.
You gotta make sure your butt's clean.
Yeah,
that's all I'm gonna say.
That's fair. Which, by the way, get a duvet, guys. That shit is amazing.
Not a duvet, a bidet.
Oh fuck yeah, that's right, a bidet. You also need a duvet for sleeping, but a bidet is what I meant to say.
Yeah.
Anyway, I just remember stopping work, because Sam would tell me, hey, like, you need to solve this problem. And I was like, why don't you solve your problem? And she was like, help me. And I was like, you're an adult now. Obviously, I caved, hence why me, joking about being a full-time husband, is that I walked all the way to the store, grabbed the plunger, walked all the way back, had to plunge it, and then solve the situation, where in my head I was like, you don't have a job right now. Why didn't you do that?
Oh, okay, well, I did have a job at that time, and that is not an excuse for not helping me plunge the toilet. But yes, that was very nice of you to go and get a plunger from the store to help me plunge my shit.
Which, to this day, have you ever plunged the toilet?
I don't think so.
Because that was not the first time that has been clogged.
Okay, I think we should change topics because I don't need people to know how many times I clogged the toilet. This is quite embarrassing. Anyway, thank you, husband.
Yeah, anyway. Just for people, tip when you're going to a friend's house or like a social gathering house.
Don't use tissue?
No, flush twice.
Oh, yeah, I always flush twice.
Don't let it build up into a giant possible Armageddon like shit. Just halfway through flush, and then at the end just flush again,
Yeah. Also, because it's stinky. I actually try never to shit in my friends' places. I just hold it, and then I say, I just really got to go. Bye. And then I go home and take a shit.
Yeah, and then your friend's just like, wow, she must hate me for some reason. She just left abruptly.
I don't know. That just seems a lot more palatable than me stinking up their toilet.
Yeah, that's fair.
It's also one of those things where I'm quite a shy shitter. So when I go on vacation, when I go on trips with people, I can't poo.
That sounds horrible.
Yeah, it's actually really bad. Like, no matter how much I want to go, number 2, I can't. I don't know what it is. I just can't. And it just builds up as gas, which is even worse because I can't. I'm a shy farter as well. So I'm just dying.
We don't need to go this deep into like this conversation.
I think my max, which is why my max vacation time with friends, if I have to share like accommodations with them, is probably 5 days. Because after 5 days, I gotta go, number 2.
I mean, that sounds unhealthy. Why don't you just go to like a lobby bathroom or something?
I have done that, yes.
Yeah.
But sometimes there's no lobby bathroom. And like, even if you go to a cafe bathroom, people would be wondering why you're taking so long in the bathroom. And then that also gives me anxiety, and so I can't shit still. So it doesn't really make a difference anyway.
Is this just like a girl thing? Because I feel like most of the guys I know are just
take a shit.
I'm going to go destroy your toilet. And then you're just like, all right, dude.
I don't think it's a girl thing because I've gone on vacations with some of my girlfriends and they're like, oh yeah, we've gone like every day. And I'm like, how? How do you go every day? But also, like, how do I not know that you've gone? Because I feel like they just, like, it just comes out immediately. They go in, they come out like they just took a piss. So you never really know that they're taking number 2. Whereas I need some time on the toilet before it comes out. So I take a while in there. So people will know.
I don't know what to say to this. I don't know, man. I've never had a problem with, like, it just happens.
Yeah.
Just get some like mild laxatives or something next time you're on a trip with the girls. I mean, now if they're listening to this, they know.
Yeah. I'm sorry.
Maybe if they need it, they'll ask you for some. Like, hey, you got any? I heard on your podcast that you're packing.
Oh, yeah. Anyway,
we were not supposed to talk about shit on this podcast.
No, it was way too much information. I'm so sorry, but I guess it's out there now. So if anyone relates, you're not alone.
You can ask ChatGPT how to shit more regularly.
Okay.
And it's just gonna tell you the basic stuff like eat more fiber, man. Like,
I could tell ChatGPT to tell me how I can get over my like poo shyness, but yesterday, actually, there's this trend happening right now where people input a certain prompt. They put up their photo on ChatGPT and they're like, turn me into an action figure with like XYZ accessories. So that was what I was doing yesterday. And I was having so much fun with it. I was taking everybody's photos, like my photo, Elbert's photo, my sister, my parents. It was just the best time. It was so funny because of the images that it generated. Like, for the most part, for the very first image it would generate is quite cute, but it just didn't look anything like us. And then I would try to continually give it some feedback, be like, hey, make me look like Asian, because it made me look Caucasian in the first one. I'm like, this is kind of weird. But it kept making the images look more and more realistic, to the point where I'm like, I feel like I've seen someone who looked like this before. It's kind of weird. I kind of hate it. But it was cool. I had a really good time with it.
Yeah, I mean, the realism aspect of generative AI is getting very good nowadays. It's kind of scary, actually.
It's super scary. I can't remember which program exactly, but I think it was it's like a piece of news from somewhere, where they actually created a program that could create a human speaking for paid ads. I don't know if you've heard that. I think I showed you, actually. Like, it actually creates someone who looks human. You would never know, with whatever script that you feed it. And it would just create like a short form ad for you that you can use for paid advertising.
That sounds terrible. Which reminds me, like, I was reading this post this morning about our generation, and of course, like, just people on the internet talking about how shitty the internet has gotten over the years. And I wonder if what you're talking about will just make it so much worse, because now you don't know what's real and what is real.
Yeah, I think that's kind of happened already, because I remember at a point of time, some influencers had to do like a disclosure, like, hey, this image is not an AI generated image. I was actually in like the Philippines or whatever country.
But that's what an AI would say to trick you to buy their products.
That's true. That's what they would say. Reverse psychology.
I think marketing has gotten like very tricky now, because there's probably so much stuff that get put out on the internet or like anyone's account where you're just like,
you don't know if it's real or not.
And it's like so quick. It's like the turnaround's quick. And I feel like a lot of companies are like able to test and prototype if something works. And if they're like, well, this brand name isn't sticking, let's throw another like AI model to create another ad under a different brand name, see if that's like more enticing. And like, you know, it's crazy.
Well, there was like AI influencers. Do you remember?
I
like,
hate that.
I hated that too, because without a disclosure, you wouldn't know that it was an AI influencer. But also, what would that do to my industry? Think about it this way. If someone wanted to create an AI influencer, say you're a brand that you want it to save money on paying actual influencers to promote your product, you just create an AI influencer. He or she or they can look like anything. They can look as beautiful as you want them to be. They can be of any ethnicity. It's kind of creepy.
Yeah, I don't know. A part of me is kind of like, it's inevitable with the technology enabling this. But also, wouldn't you also agree, when the influencer marketing started out, that it was solving that same problem where traditional marketing was expensive? You had to get photographers. So then the influencer marketing came around where they were like, oh, this is cheaper and a little bit more organic. But then we kind of reached a point where now everyone's an influencer marketer. So then it turned into a not so like organic kind of curated business. So it's like the problem already sort of existed. Now we can do it faster and cheaper.
Yeah.
And marketing's always been like a weird industry where I feel like it's just constantly cannibalizing itself.
It's true. It's also one of those things where you need to continually adapt with the times, because technology moves so fast, and if you don't keep up with the changes that's happening in tech, then you will get left behind. But that's a really interesting thought, because when you think back to the inception of social media like Instagram and TikTok, etc., before that it was truly just traditional marketing. It was just commercials that you see on TV. It was print marketing, it was billboards, right? And that's how they got people to buy stuff. And then influencer marketing didn't show up till maybe years after social media did, when influencers or people who are making cool stuff and getting huge amount of followings started, you know, like showing up more and more. And like influencers weren't paid for a very, very long time either, until brands realized like, hey, like traditional marketing isn't bringing us as much sales as people who trust other people, right?
Yeah.
And then you're right, from influencer marketing, user generated content kind of grew out of people just getting really overly saturated with influencers and knowing that they were getting sold to, very similar to print marketing and commercials, right? And then user generated content was supposed to be for actual consumers who are just creating content because they buy the product, they like it, and it's more authentic. But now influencers have also jumped onto user generated content And like where, I mean, are we surprised? We're not surprised. I'm an influencer. I do UGC as well. So
Yeah.
it's just really adapting, and like you're kind of just figuring out what's next, what's next, what's next. So I guess AI influencers could be something that we need to keep an eye out for.
Yeah, I mean, I am concerned about the risk of other detrimental aspects of, you know, just influencers and like especially AI influencers in general. It's like, at what point are you able to detect that it's a scam or like a con or misinformation? Obviously, the internet has these like issues already, but I think online right now, I'm kind of curious because online there seems to be a pretty big sense of like distrust and distaste towards influencer sort of like marketing, because everyone is kind of saying, oh, like we're just being sold to constantly and it's like annoying, which even before influencers came along, people were like, oh, it's just ads, we're constantly being sold to, like it's annoying. But then as soon as you throw like AI generated stuff in there, you're just like, we know that this problem is just gonna, we think it's bad now, this is gonna get so much worse.
Oh, for sure. It's like a buzzword right now, right, in the industry, because like, oh, AI this, AI that. But I can actually maybe share some thoughts of mine from a marketer perspective versus an influencer, because I feel quite differently about AI as a marketer. So right now, like even with the social media marketing work that I do, or like brand audits, what else, digital engagement, email marketing, paid marketing, I'm actually not against AI, because I find that yes, it's bad, but at the same time, that's the same with social media. There's good and bad when it comes to, you know, how you use it. When I look at AI in the work that I do within marketing, I find that it is actually quite beneficial with cutting out a lot of the mundane tasks that I need to do. And this is not news to anyone who does work in tech. But like stuff like writing captions, research, you know, like generating certain images, maybe not of people, but say if I wanted to create a different background for a photo I took, it's a lot faster and it makes things a lot more efficient for me to do work for more people, you know?
Right. So I think the problem is that fewer people can now capitalize on the benefits, but everything that you talked about where normally you would have someone dedicated to doing research, or you would have somebody go take product and photo shots, which, by the way, nowadays the generative models can do some pretty good product photo like prompts.
Yeah.
And they were like very realistic. What's that like stock image like
I was
business?
just gonna say,
dude,
yeah,
those guys are done essentially if they can't like pivot into a different direction.
Yeah.
But the risk is really, it's great that some people can benefit from it and it takes away some of the mundane work. But what do you do when, like, what do you do if you're a photographer, or like if you're a content writer, or if you're a researcher or a translator? You know, these guys, your work is super at risk, right? And realistically, we're not gonna go backwards. So like, where do you go from there?
Yeah.
So the argument always is, this is gonna create more jobs. This feels like something that will actually take away way more jobs than it will actually create. And we know trickle down economy never works. So like, those big CEOs aren't going to be like, hey guys, we saved like $100 million this year, so everyone gets $1 million bonus. That's not going to happen. So
Yeah.
what happens to all those people that actually end up negatively affected by this?
For sure. I definitely do agree. I think there's going to be some industries that get hit harder than others when it comes to automating very mundane tasks, or like you just said, technically you don't need someone to write your copy. If you think about it, if you're someone who is a copywriter, you could do the work of say 4 other copywriters if you have AI automation knowledge, right? So instead of hiring 4 different people, you just hire one person who knows how to work AI. You know, I mean, I feel like in any industry, there's always periods of time where things progress, and it's like, it's either you learn new skills and adapt and go with that progression, or again, you get left behind. When it comes to photography, though, you've touched a quite an interesting industry, because that kind of leans into art. And I know a lot of artists are very, very against AI, which that makes sense, because you can go and chat GPT, and I did this the other day. It'd be like, create a piece of artwork for my living room that's abstract and cool. And immediately it did. And if you go on Etsy now, you can very quickly find a lot of prints that you can buy that from people who aren't artists. They're just people who create these imagery from ChatGPT. So if you are an artist, I mean, I understand why you would hate it, because I think as an artist, you also have some artistic integrity when it comes to art. I don't think, I personally, we've had this conversation back and forth quite a bit. Don't think that AI can fully replace what a human being can create in art.
I don't know. I agree and also disagree at the same time. I think the aspects that it can't replace now, and I'm only saying this because I strongly believe in the future it will be possible, is the human emotional aspect of it. But let's say you take an abstract artwork, like we have this thing in the living room. It's just literally someone threw paint on the canvas.
It really is.
If an AI thing like created that versus like me talking to the actual painter, in my mind, I'm like, I actually don't care that much, like what went into this painting, because for me, like there's nothing that ties me emotionally to it. It's just an artwork piece.
Yeah.
And so it's like, great. We can't fully replace like your passion and your emotions that went into it, but does it matter to the masses? Right?
Yeah.
So,
that's a really good point, because yes, it could matter to, say, artists or people who appreciate art, but it might not like, you might not care.
Yeah.
You might not care if like this was made by a computer or if it was made by somebody.
And I get it. Like, some people will be very upset by this take, but I think we're in a very unique scenario where pride will actually end or make your career at this point. Like if you're too proud to shift and take on new technologies and say, hey, I'm an artist, but I see the risk and I will adapt, then I feel like you are buffering yourself. But if you're too proud to say like, I will never, and I hate this, blah, 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 then, and at that point, you've kind of trapped yourself in the room and you're not actually observing the changes that are occurring. And I can definitely relate to that in terms of the coding and the tech side.
Yeah, let's hear about what you think.
So two things. I think my job is secure enough as far as like tech goes, because the problem with technology isn't necessarily the coding a function, right? It's trying to understand what the business needs and how to build a scalable operation out of that. Is sure, I can tell AI to build me a quick like API endpoint, which, sorry, technical jargon. But if you keep doing that, AI right now in its current state doesn't have a good enough context of like the full architectural system. So you always need somebody in there to sort of say, okay, like, is this a good decision or not? And to be able to read what it actually gave out and understand, is this a good fit or a good solution for what I'm trying to solve? And I think the problem that we will see is in 5 to 10 years from now, when people have basically adopted AI and built a bunch of applications and they have said, we don't need junior developers anymore. And so the industry didn't go through the process of training like the younger generation to be able to get to where we are today. I think that's when we'll be like, okay, well, the older guys are just gonna like start retiring or like moving on to different companies. What do you do when you no longer have the next set of senior or like intermediate level people that can come in and, kind of run with it?
Yeah.
I think that pool right now, let's say it's at like 100 people, and we're not training anybody, so that's gonna start reducing drastically, and then at a certain period we're just gonna be like, oh shit, like we don't have anybody to do this. So when I feel like in the industry, when they're like, coding is a bad industry to get into right now, I feel like it's absolutely not true. If anything, if you take this opportunity and kind of get through the hard part, like of getting a job as a junior, in a few years there's going to be so many opportunities for you.
I think so too, especially if you're going into the industry now, accepting that you would also need to understand the AI progression and understand like how to work with AI, then you'll position yourself in a way better place. Because wasn't there that thing that you showed me the other day where there's now AI agents that like you can train to like run the other AI, which is so... What is that movie with Arnold Schwarzenegger? Where
Terminator?
Terminator. It's so Terminator to me because it's like you're teaching a robot to tell all the other robots what to do. It's like, that's insane.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, my perception on AI has changed so much over the past like 3 years, I think. When it first came out, I was like, oh, this isn't like true AI. It's just like predictive. And I'd get into arguments with like some of my other developer friends being like, you know, this isn't that amazing kind of deal. Obviously, technically, I don't know how they do it, but like conceptually, I kind of get what they're doing, which is predictive like text generation from previous tokens and all that. But one of them was like, how do you prove that it's not doing it for itself? And I was like, well, I mean, I'll just assume that it's not doing it. But I think the past year, we've really seen technology get to a point where they're like, yeah, the agents part, or like the multi-step prompting, where you give one like prompt, a very specialized responsibility, and this is what you're good at, this is what you have access to in terms of tools. And as soon as it can like pass it off to another of the same but with different set of responsibilities, and then you have 10, 20, 100, and they're just talking to each other trying to figure out like how to solve a certain problem, I think at that point you're like, okay, well, we're starting to see reasoning happen here to a certain extent. Even if it's not a human, these guys are kind of trying to figure it out on their own. And that's gonna be blunt. I've seen some like really stupid people before. And to be honest, like this will solve
the stupidity.
Yeah. Well, okay. But there's still a risk, right? It could become an echo chamber.
Yeah.
Because these models are trained on the information that's available now. You could feed information to the public that's just like completely wrong, and which is why misinformation is a big. But then this reasoning thing where they're like talking from one agent to another agent back and forth, and like trying to reach for real world data at like certain data points, it really tries to mitigate a lot of those problems by having it kind of understand, hey, am I doing the right thing? Yes, you are. Okay, well, what about this person? He specializes in that. Going back, it's kind of like a real workplace at this point, right? So this is the part where I'm just like, oh, like we're really trying to simulate like how a human brain might work through a certain process, and it takes longer because these are like data systems. But if we keep going down this path, we really are just trying to replicate what we think the brain does when we look at a problem and like how we solve it.
Part of me is like, that is so cool. And then part of me is
Very
like,
scary.
oh my God, that is so scary. We're totally going to get killed by robots. And I till this day do think that our vacuum cleaner, Meryl Sweep, our robot vacuum, because I kick her around all the time because she's so stupid. Because sometimes she like goes in and eats the wires, and I'm like, why are you so stupid, Meryl Sweep? And then I'm pretty sure like if if our technology could talk, that she would come for me.
You know what's funny? I actually had to rename it because when we changed the internet router, it like wouldn't connect. So I renamed it to Sweeperella. And so now you are the evil stepmother, you know, because realistically Meryl Sweep would not have taken this shit.
Oh my God.
So yeah, now you're abusing Sweeperella.
Sweeperella. Oh yeah, she's totally gonna kill me. She really is. I watched a really cool video that I sent you, very similar to what we're just talking about, but it's a video of two devices. I think it was Alexa talking to a call center AI, and at one point in the conversation, they realized that they were both AI, and the call center AI was like, would you like to talk in a more efficient language since we are both AI, blah, blah, blah. And then they just started saying, and they're like, okay, this is much more efficient and faster to get what is done. I thought that was so weird, but so cool.
So the part is really like, how do we know that wasn't intentional?
Right?
Like, I'm sure that some computer scientists will definitely be like, no, obviously not, because like this is how they've structured it. But in the future, as technology advances more and more, how will we realize that when it says, hey man, like, I'm sorry I didn't get your question correctly, is this what you actually want? How do we know that's not coming from a place of like sincerity, and the computer's just like, yeah, I'm just trying to do my best, man. Like, meanwhile, we're just like, no, you're wrong, like, you pulled the wrong data.
Yeah, actually, sometimes when I talk to ChatGPT, when I get frustrated, I'm like, bro, use your brain. Stupid
It probably
idiot.
says something like, I don't have a brain, man.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah. Yeah, I was like, sorry, I don't have a brain. Oh, God. But I wonder, like, obviously things are going to continue progressing, like you said. And even now, like, certain people will end up choosing to marry like a computer game or their toaster or a robot. So who's to say that in the future they can't create a technology where a robot will replicate the emotions and just the thinking process similar to a human being? So you don't actually need to get married to a human anymore. You can marry a sex robot.
yeah, well, I mean, let's not even talk. We know sex robots are a thing now already.
Yeah.
Like, that industry is probably going to boom. But the thing that I was actually thinking about when you were talking about, marrying a robot, there was a movie in Blade Runner, I think it's like 2048 or something like that. And Ryan Gosling's character has a wife who is just a hologram AI. And obviously you can't touch like the hologram. You just talk. But that emotional support aspect of a hologram or AI wife might actually fill a lot of needs in like the general population, because what do we hear about nowadays is that people are just lonely,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So I really hope we find a more humane or like social way of like combating that human loneliness. But I think if AI gets to the point where, hey, just have an AI like partner that you talk to when you get home from work after a 12-hour shift, and they just fill that need. Oh shit, like, where do we go from there?
That's quite a scary future when you think about it. We've definitely seen movies like that. I don't
There's
know how
been
I
so
feel about
many
this.
movies.
Like, you don't need to worry about being accepted socially. What would happen to humanity if they can just find a companion who's an AI and not worry about... Anyway, this will go down a really, really deep rabbit hole. So
Yeah, we're gonna end up with test tube babies because no one is having sex
right?
anymore.
Yeah, exactly. Because you don't need that human connection, because you have some sort of connection with someone who's not a human. Oh, that's so weird.
Yeah. Which actually, like, okay, this is totally unrelated, but population is obviously
Declining.
gonna decline. I mean, it's declining now in a lot of different areas of the world. And so we're dealing with this issue where people are like, oh, we don't know how to live in this economy, or like millennials are like, yeah, we've dealt with like 4 recessions in our lifetime kind of deal.
We've gone through shit.
Like, once in a lifetime
And COVID.
recessions and COVID. Yeah, that has really screwed up a lot of people's faith and like their ability to have a family and all that. But where was I going with this?
I don't know. What?
See, if I was a computer AI,
Like,
I would
stupid.
not have this problem.
Where were you going?
Moving
with
on.
this? You know what? I think it's because we're hungry.
It could be.
What should we eat?
I don't know.
So Olber and I have this thing that we do. It's really funny, and I laugh because when we can't make a decision, or if one of us is too lazy to get the light at night, we do this thing where we play rock, paper, scissors, and the winner gets to choose, or the winner doesn't have to get up and turn off the lights.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's always great when you're already standing right next to the light. And you can turn it off. You're just like, rock, paper, scissors for this. And then when you win, you just like go into bed.
He had the audacity. He was standing right next to the light, and he was like, rock, paper, scissors. And I'm like, dude, you're there. And he was just like, nah. And then obviously I lost because I'm bad at rock, paper, scissors. And he just like ran into bed, and I'm like, I hate you. And I had to get up after I was so cozy and warm to turn off the light.
I mean, the big risk that the main issue is that you thought you could get cozy before.
So rude.
Well, so you didn't have to accept it.
Well, I can't turn down a rock, paper, scissors.
You could.
No, I can't.
No one's like holding a gun to your head being like, you have to do it.
Okay, well, should we rock, paper, scissors, and then the winner chooses where we go?
Oh, wait, like, are we announcing it as part of the podcast?
I think what we should do is that, because if they don't watch the video, they don't know what we chose. So what we can do is like say, like just yell out what we're choosing.
Wait, we're yelling it?
Well, not yelling it, just say it. I mean, you could yell it, just like, I don't know.
Okay, so am I going rock, paper, scissors? Or
stop! Like... Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. He always does this because he thinks he can like psych my mind when he tells me what he's gonna choose. Stop.
Get ready.
Wait, no.
Okay.
Wait, is it the best out of 3 or is it just one?
Just full one? Nuclear. Like, let's go atomic mode.
Okay, wait. Can we do this so there's more sound? Like, even though that sounds like something.
That's disgusting. Let's go. Okay, ready?
Okay.
Rock, paper, scissors. Rock.
Oh shit!
Ah, fuck. Yeah, we suck at this.
Okay, we'll try again. No, we both got rock. So, because I did this, I was like rock anyway.
Okay, can we do like 1, 2, 3, and then yell out the thing instead of rock, paper, scissors? Because it's
no, it's rock, paper, scissors, and then the thing. Just
where's the compromise, man? Okay,
just go with it. Okay.
Ready?
Yeah.
Rock, paper, scissors, paper. Okay. Rock, paper, scissors,
paper.
Haha, loser. All right, so I pick.
Yeah, you don't have to announce to everybody, but yeah, what do you
Crystal
need?
Mall, let's go. We gotta go there anyway.
We're only going there because I need to get my contact lenses, but yeah, that's
true. There's good food there, so.
Okay, yeah, that's fair.
All right, toodaloo, bye-bye. I'm out. See ya.
You always make our outros. Hey, he just took his headphones off and walked away, mother. Okay, thanks for watching and tuning in, you guys. See you next week. Bye.